All right, welcome back. We're kicking things off today with Selenium. If you're listening, you probably already know that testing websites manually can be a real drag. It's time consuming, error prone, and honestly, a little bit soul crushing, especially when you're dealing with a ton of different browsers. It's like trying to run a marathon in flip flops. You might get there eventually, but it's not going to be pretty. That's where Selenium comes in. Selenium's like getting a rocket powered skateboard for that marathon. It takes care of all the heavy lifting, the repetitive tasks, the stuff that makes you want to tear your hair out. So, what exactly is Selenium? Well, it's this incredible tool, a real game changer for web developers that automates the process of testing websites across different browsers. And that's what we're going to deep dive into today. We're going to explore why Selenium is so essential, how it actually works under the hood, and even delve into some of its limitations because, hey, no tool is perfect, right?
Tool is perfect, but Selenium comes pretty darn close. What I've always found fascinating about Selenium is how it tackles a problem that's only gotten bigger over time. Cross-browser compatibility. Think about it. Back in the day, you built a website, and you pretty much knew everyone was using Internet Explorer, maybe a few folks on Firefox. But now, oh boy, it's a whole different ballgame. You've got Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, all these different browsers, each with their quirks and nuances, and you got to make sure your website looks and functions flawlessly on every single one of them. Trying to do that manually, well, good luck with that.
You'd probably spend more time testing than actually building the website itself.
Exactly. And not only is it time-consuming, but it's also incredibly prone to human error.
We're all human. We get tired, we get distracted, we miss things. And in web development, those little mistakes can have big consequences.
Absolutely. A misplaced button, a broken link, a form that doesn't submit properly, these things can drive users away and cost businesses a lot of money.
Hmm.
And as websites have become more complex with all these dynamic elements and interactive features, manual testing just doesn't cut it anymore. You need something that can keep up with the speed of development, something that can handle the intricate web of interactions that modern websites demand. And that's where Selenium really shines.
Okay, so Selenium swoops in and saves the day by automating all that tedious clicking, typing, and navigating that would normally drive a developer bonkers. But how does it actually pull that off? What's the magic behind the curtain?
The magic, well, it's not really magic, it's clever engineering. At its core, Selenium is all about browser automation. Think of it like having a tireless robot, a digital assistant, that meticulously follows your instructions, interacting with the website just like a human user would. But what makes Selenium truly special is its ability to do this across a wide range of browsers. We call that cross-browser compatibility, and it's a game changer.
So Selenium's like a universal translator for browsers.
Exactly. Imagine you've spent hours crafting a script to test the login process for your website. With Selenium, you can run that same script on Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, you name it, without having to rewrite it for each individual browser.
That's a huge time saver, right?
Oh, absolutely. Time savings is one of Selenium's biggest strengths. We're talking potentially cutting your testing time in half, maybe even more, depending on the complexity of your website.
Wow, that's impressive. So less time testing, more time building awesome websites, right?
Precisely. And the time savings aren't the only benefit. Selenium is also incredibly flexible when it comes to programming languages. It supports a variety of popular languages like Python, Java, C#, so developers can use whatever they're most comfortable with.
No need to learn a whole new language just to use Selenium.
Nope. Stick with what you know and love.
That's great for developers, especially those just starting out or working on smaller projects.
Absolutely. And speaking of making things easier for developers, did I mention that Selenium is open source?
Oh, right. It's completely free to use.
Free as in beer. That's a huge win, especially for startups and independent developers who might not have the budget for those pricey proprietary testing tools.
So free and powerful sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, like we said earlier, no tool is perfect. There are some challenges that come with using Selenium, and we'll definitely discuss those later on. But in terms of upfront costs, it's hard to beat free.
And the value you get in return is immense.
Oh, absolutely. Not only does Selenium automate testing, but it also integrates beautifully with other tools like Jenkins for continuous integration and Testing G for generating those fancy detailed reports.
So it's not just a standalone tool, it's part of a larger ecosystem that can really streamline the entire development process.
Exactly. And we combine that with the power of parallel testing through Selenium Grid, you can really kick things into overdrive. Imagine being able to run tests on multiple browsers and operating systems simultaneously, drastically reducing the overall testing time.
So Selenium Grid is like having a virtual testing lab, running all your tests in parallel.
It's a game changer for teams working on complex projects with tight deadlines.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of how powerful Selenium can be, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on how it actually works under the hood. Can we peek behind the curtain a little bit and see what's going on?
Absolutely. Let's crack open the hood and take a look at the engine that drives Selenium. Think of it like a relay race, each runner passing the baton to the next. First, you have the test script, which is essentially the set of instructions, the game plan, written by the developer. It tells the browser exactly what to do step by step, like open this website, click on this button, or fill out this form.
So the test script is like the blueprint for the entire testing process.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Browsers don't actually understand these instructions directly. They speak a different language, if you will. And that's where WebDriver comes in. WebDriver is like the interpreter, the translator, that sits between the test script and the browser. It takes those instructions from the developer and converts them into commands that the browser can understand.
So WebDriver is like the diplomat, smoothing out the communication between two different worlds.
Precisely. But we need someone to actually carry out those commands, to execute them within the browser. And that's where the browser driver steps in. Each browser has its own dedicated driver, like Chrome driver for Chrome, Giga driver for Firefox, and so on. These drivers are like specialized agents working behind the scenes to make things happen within their respective browsers.
Ah, so the browser driver is the one getting their hands dirty, actually interacting with the browser based on WebDriver's instructions.
Exactly. And finally, we have the browser itself, the star of the show, actually performing the actions, like clicking, typing, and navigating, as instructed by the browser driver.
So it's like a well-choreographed dance with the test script as the choreographer, WebDriver as the conductor, the browser driver as the dancer, and the browser as the stage.
I like that analogy. It's a beautiful collaboration, all these components working in perfect harmony to make sure those websites are performing as expected.
But, and I hesitate to even bring this up, I know you said no tool is perfect, but are there any downsides to using Selenium?
Well, as with any powerful tool, there are some nuances, some quirks that you need to be aware of. And we'll definitely dive into those in more detail later on.
Okay, so Selenium's not exactly plug and play. There's a bit of a learning curve involved.
Yeah, it does require some coding knowledge to really harness its full potential.
Yeah.
You won't be able to just point and click your way to automated testing nirvana.
So it's not exactly a tool for complete beginners. You need to have some programming experience under your belt.
Right, you'll need to be comfortable with concepts like variables, loops, conditional statements, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But hey, that's part of what makes Selenium so powerful and versatile. It gives you a lot of control over the testing process.
And there are tons of resources available online to help people get up to speed with Selenium, right?
Absolutely. There are tutorials, documentation, forums, communities, you name it. There's a whole ecosystem of support out there.
So even though there's a learning curve, it's not insurmountable, especially with the right resources and a bit of dedication.
Exactly. And once you've mastered the fundamentals, you can start exploring more advanced techniques like the page object model or behavior-driven development, which can really take your testing game to the next level.
So Selenium's like a gateway drug to the world of automated testing.
You start with the basics, and then you get hooked on all the possibilities.
Okay, I'm sold. Selenium sounds amazing, but before we get too carried away, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room, those quirks you mentioned earlier.
Right. Let's talk about those. One of the most common issues, and one that can cause even experienced Selenium users to pull their hair out, is the dreaded flaky test.
Flaky test? What's that, like a test that crumbles under pressure?
Well, sort of. A flaky test is a test that sometimes passes and sometimes fails, even when nothing is actually changed in the code or the website itself.
Oh, that sounds incredibly frustrating. It's like getting a different result every time you flip a coin.
It can be a real headache, especially when you're trying to track down the root cause of the problem. And it often happens when you're dealing with websites that have elements that load dynamically. You know, those parts of a web page that might appear at different times or in different locations depending on various factors.
Oh, so timing is everything.
Exactly. If Selenium tries to interact with an element before it's fully loaded, the test might fail, even though there's nothing inherently wrong with the element itself.
So it's like trying to open a door before it's unlocked.
Precisely. And these timing issues can be tricky to diagnose and fix.
So how do you deal with flaky tests? Do you just keep rerunning them until they magically pass?
Well, you could try that. But there are more effective strategies. One common approach is to use explicit waits, which essentially tells Selenium to wait for a specific condition to be met before proceeding with the test.
So it's like telling Selenium to be patient, to wait for the door to unlock before barging in.
Exactly. And another helpful technique is to use Selenium Grid, which allows you to run tests on multiple machines and browsers simultaneously. This can help you identify flaky tests more quickly and isolate the cause of the problem.
So Selenium Grid isn't just about speed and efficiency, it's also a valuable tool for debugging and troubleshooting.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about another potential challenge, and this one might surprise you: reporting. While Selenium is fantastic at running tests, it doesn't have a built-in mechanism for generating those fancy, detailed reports that everyone loves.
Wait, what? So if I run a bunch of tests, how do I know what passed and what failed?
Well, you could manually inspect each test result, but that would be incredibly tedious and time-consuming, especially if you're running hundreds or even thousands of tests.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very efficient.
Not at all. Thankfully, there are external tools like Extent Reports and TestNG that you can use to generate those comprehensive reports.
So it's an extra step, but it's not a major hurdle.
Exactly. These reporting tools integrate seamlessly with Selenium, so it's not a huge hassle to set them up.
And the insights you get from those reports can be invaluable, especially when you're trying to track down bugs and improve the quality of your code.
Absolutely. They can save you a ton of time and effort in the long run.
Okay, so we've got flaky tests and reporting. Any other Selenium quirks we should be aware of?
Oh, one more thing, and this one's more of a logistical detail, but it's important nonetheless. Browser drivers.
Right, those specialized drivers for each browser?
Exactly. You need to make sure you have the right driver for each browser you want to test on, and keeping those drivers up to date can be a bit of a hassle sometimes.
It's like making sure you have the right adapter for every country you visit.
A minor inconvenience, but necessary to avoid any compatibility issues.
So to recap, Selenium's incredibly powerful, but it does come with a few caveats. A bit of a learning curve, the potential for flaky tests, the need for external reporting tools, and those pesky browser drivers.
You got it. But don't let those minor challenges deter you. The benefits of Selenium far outweigh the drawbacks.
I'm convinced. Selenium sounds like a game changer for any web developer who's serious about creating high-quality websites.
It's a must-have tool in any developer's arsenal.
You know, as we've been talking about Selenium and its ability to automate such a crucial part of web development, I've been thinking about the broader implications of automation. It's not just about websites, it's about how we approach problems in all areas of our lives.
Oh, I love where you're going with this. That's exactly the kind of thinking that Selenium inspires. It's not just a technical tool, it's a mindset, a way of looking at the world and asking, how can I make this better? How can I make this more efficient? How can I free up my time and energy for the things that truly matter?
Exactly. We live in a world that's increasingly dominated by technology, and we're constantly bombarded with information and distractions.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed and lose sight of what's truly important.
But what if we could use automation to delegate those mundane and repetitive tasks to machines, freeing up our time and mental energy for more meaningful and creative pursuits?
Now you're talking. Imagine a world where you could automate your email responses, schedule appointments, manage your finances, all with the click of a button.
It would be like having a personal assistant, a digital butler, taking care of all the little things so you can focus on the big picture.
And it's not just about personal productivity. Automation has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, from healthcare to education to environmental sustainability.
That's an incredibly powerful thought. So while we're focusing on Selenium and its impact on web development, it's important to remember that the principles of automation have far-reaching implications.
They have the potential to revolutionize the way we live, work, and interact with the world around us.
I love that. So as we move forward in our exploration of Selenium, let's keep that broader perspective in mind.
Let's think about how we could apply the lessons we learned from Selenium to other areas of our lives. How we can use automation to create a world that is more efficient, more sustainable, and more fulfilling for everyone.
That's a great goal. Now, let's dive into some real-world examples and see how Selenium is actually being used by companies and organizations around the world.
Let's see how Selenium is making a difference in the wild.
All right, so we've established that Selenium is this versatile tool for testing websites, but I'm really curious to see how it's being used in real-world situations. Can you give us some examples of how companies are actually leveraging Selenium to solve problems?
Oh, absolutely. The applications of Selenium are incredibly diverse, spanning across numerous industries. It's like everybody's using it, from tech giants like Google and Facebook, all the way to startups and small businesses.
So it's not just limited to building websites. Companies are finding creative ways to use it for all sorts of things.
Exactly. Take e-commerce, for instance. Selenium is a workhorse when it comes to testing online shopping carts, payment gateways, that entire checkout process.
That makes sense. Those systems are mission critical for e-commerce businesses. Any glitches there could lead to lost sales, frustrated customers, a whole mess of problems.
Right. You hit the nail on the head. Selenium helps ensure a smooth and reliable online shopping experience. We're talking about millions of transactions every day, all running smoothly thanks to Selenium working behind the scenes.
Wow, that's impressive. So from helping people buy shoes to ensuring financial stability, Selenium's got it covered.
Well, it's certainly playing a role in both, and it doesn't stop there. Think about the financial sector. Online banking platforms, trading applications, even complex financial modeling software.
Wait, so Selenium is being used to deal with sensitive financial data and transactions? That seems like a huge vote of confidence in its reliability and accuracy.
It definitely is. And the healthcare industry is another great example. They use Selenium to test patient portals, electronic health record systems, even medical devices.
Seriously, Selenium is helping to improve healthcare outcomes. That's pretty incredible.
It highlights how automation, when applied thoughtfully, can have a real impact on people's lives. But it goes even further than those examples. Selenium is a powerful tool for web scraping, extracting data from websites.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about testing, it's about gathering information from the web as well.
Precisely. Researchers use Selenium to collect data for their studies. Marketers use it to track competitors. Even journalists use it to pull information for their stories.
It's like Selenium is the Swiss Army knife of web development.
A versatile tool, adaptable to so many tasks.
So we've got building and testing websites, seamless online transactions, even gathering insights from the vast sea of data that is the internet. It's amazing how one tool can have such a diverse impact.
It really speaks to the power of open source development. A global community coming together to create something truly remarkable.
And it's still evolving, right?
Hmm.
What does the future hold for Selenium?
That's a great question. The web development landscape is constantly shifting, so Selenium has to keep up with the latest trends.
What are some of the big trends you see shaping the future of Selenium?
Well, mobile-first development is a major one. More and more people are accessing the web on their smartphones and tablets. So ensuring websites work seamlessly on these devices is critical.
That makes sense. With all the different screen sizes, resolutions, operating systems, testing on mobile must be a whole other level of complexity.
It definitely can be. But Selenium is rising to the challenge. There are specialized frameworks, like Appium, that extend Selenium's capabilities to mobile app testing.
So Selenium is adapting to the mobile revolution.
Absolutely. Another trend is the shift towards cloud computing. Companies are moving their infrastructure and applications to the cloud. And that brings new challenges and opportunities for testing.
How so?
Well, cloud environments are dynamic and scalable. Tests need to be able to adapt to these constantly changing conditions. Luckily, Selenium can be integrated with cloud testing platforms like Sauce Labs and BrowserStack. These platforms provide access to a massive range of browsers and operating systems, all hosted in the cloud.
So Selenium is becoming cloud native.
You got it. This opens up a world of possibilities for parallel testing and continuous integration. Teams can test more efficiently and release software much faster.
That's exciting. Selenium is riding the wave of cloud computing, keeping pace with how websites are being developed and deployed.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the rise of AI and machine learning in software testing.
Oh, now that's interesting. How are AI and ML being used in testing?
AI-powered tools can analyze huge amounts of data, looking for patterns and anomalies, things that might indicate potential bugs or performance issues. They can also help automate the creation and execution of test cases, freeing up human testers to focus on more complex tasks.
So AI is augmenting human intelligence, not replacing it.
Precisely. And Selenium is well positioned to integrate with these AI-powered tools, becoming even more powerful in the process.
So Selenium's embracing the AI revolution, paving the way for smarter and more efficient testing.
Exactly. The future of Selenium is bright, full of exciting possibilities. As the web evolves, so too will Selenium, empowering developers to create amazing web experiences for everyone.
I love that vision. Selenium is more than just a testing tool. It's a symbol of how technology can be used to make things better.
It's about constantly pushing the boundaries, finding new ways to solve problems, and creating a more efficient and enjoyable experience for users.
And it's all thanks to the collaborative spirit of the open source community.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even in the digital world, Human connection and collaboration are at the heart of innovation.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched upon earlier, the broader implications of automation.
Ah, yes, that's a topic worth exploring further.
We've seen how Selenium can automate those tedious aspects of web testing, freeing up developers to be more creative and strategic. But what if we applied that same mindset to other areas of our work, our lives?
I think it's a powerful idea, with the potential to change how we work, learn, even interact with the world around us.
Exactly. We live in a world of information overload, constantly bombarded with
It's
distractions.
easy to get caught up in the minutia and lose sight of what really matters.
But imagine if we could use automation to delegate those mind-numbing, repetitive tasks to machines, freeing up our time and energy for things we truly enjoy.
Now you're talking. Imagine automating email responses, scheduling appointments, managing finances, all with a few clicks.
It would be like having a personal assistant, taking care of all those little things, freeing up our minds for the big picture.
And it goes beyond personal productivity. Automation has the potential to tackle global challenges,
Hmm.
healthcare, education, even environmental sustainability.
That's a powerful thought. So while Selenium is revolutionizing website testing, the principles behind it have much broader applications.
Absolutely. They could revolutionize how we live, work, and interact with the world.
I love that. So as we continue exploring Selenium, let's keep that broader perspective in mind.
Let's see how we can apply these automation principles to other areas, making our lives more efficient, sustainable, and fulfilling.
That's a great goal. Now let's shift gears and explore the evolution of Selenium. How did this incredible tool come to be, and what were some of the key milestones along the way?
The origin story of Selenium. It's a fascinating tale of innovation, collaboration, and a relentless pursuit of better ways to do things. It all started back in the early 2000s.
It's amazing to think how far Selenium has come from those early days. It started as a simple tool, and now it's this powerhouse, changing the entire web development landscape.
It really highlights the power of open source.
Yeah.
People all over the world collaborating, contributing, making it better.
And it's not just the technology itself, it's the whole mindset Selenium represents.
Right, that focus on efficiency, on automation, always looking for a better way to do things.
It's like Selenium gives you a new perspective, a new way of seeing the world. You start to notice all those opportunities to improve things, to make them more efficient.
Exactly. You start to see the world through selenium-colored glasses.
And it's not just about making things easier for ourselves, it's about freeing up our time and energy. So we can focus on the things that really matter, the things that machines can't do.
Right. Things like creativity, innovation, problem solving, connecting with people.
Exactly. Automation should complement our human abilities, not replace them.
Finding that balance, that's the key.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Selenium, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Well, I like challenges. What is it?
I challenge each and every one of you to embrace that Selenium mindset. Look around your life, your work, and ask yourself, what can I automate?
It could be something small, like setting up automatic email replies.
Or maybe something bigger, like learning to code and creating your own automation scripts.
The possibilities are endless. Just start small, experiment, and don't be afraid to try things.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There's a huge community of Selenium enthusiasts out there ready to help and share their knowledge.
So dive in, explore the world of automation, and see what you can create.
Well said. And with that, I want to thank all of our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into Selenium.
We hope you've learned something new, maybe even been inspired to try out Selenium for yourself.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep automating.